So say on a scene, are the police or sheriffs, are they happy to see you, or do they think, oh, this guy tries to contradict what we think usually?
No, they really like when we come out. A lot of times detectives will wait to hear if we're responding. If we're responding, then there could be something abnormal. Then detectives will also come.
Okay.
Different agencies use their detectives in different ways. Some respond to all, others don't. It just depends on the time and place.
Okay.
But there are many difficult scenes to respond on. But they're looking to us to help them, rule out foul play and other things like that. So
because you guys have separate training than they do.
Correct. We're medicine based. They're law enforcement based. Although, those guys really do a good job, as especially the ones that have been there a while. Sometimes they'll call things that I may have not noticed yet, and they'll say, hey, what about this? And they'll also give us a description of what went on. They can look at the history of that subject to see, this person's been arrested several times for drug abuse or domestic violence, et cetera. So they're giving us information that we can use on that scene, on that investigation.
Yeah, so take me through like an interesting call that's come in, especially down there in Louisiana. Dang, bro.
Yeah.
I knew people that could, they couldn't learn the alphabet and they took their own life, bro.
That's right. We see a lot of that. There's a lot of preventable deaths that we can talk about. But, a typical call in Louisiana is anything from heart disease, suicide, OD. But to be more specific, we've had many that they find a body floating in the bayou. And that can be different, because they've been exposed to water. So, they may be bloated more. Some of the surface evidence or the trace evidence that we use is not there because they've been floating. You can see where turtles and other animals in the water have nipped at them.
Oh, yeah.
So it can be somewhat gruesome and then hard to tell, why are they in this water? They're dressed in regular street clothes. They weren't.
They weren't swimming.
They weren't swimming. They weren't fishing. And they're in the water. Sometimes people OD and their friends have no clue what to do with them, so they throw them into the bayou.
Yeah.
Sometimes these guys are just, hanging out and they slip and fall and hit their head or they pass out. We don't always know what got them to the bayou.
Now, how do those bodies look if you roll up on a body? Because I've always wanted to find a deceased body. I think a lot of people have.
That's a bucket list of mine. I see them every day, but I've never rolled up on one.
Yeah. Huh?
Yeah.
Why is that a bucket list thing for people?
I don't know, but it happens often. I had a guy cutting the grass at a rent house and found a body.
God. And did he get any intel or he just got lucky?
No, he just got lucky. He was cutting grass and boom, he found that body.
A lot of times if you work and stay focused and you keep working towards, it's better than some lazy dude who's doing nothing finding a body.
Right.
At least that guy's out there doing something.
Well, when that lazy person finds a body, you got to question, how'd you find this body?
True, right. Yeah.
That's
a good point.
We had one recently that was just a driver was passing by and there was a lady in the ditch. Now, what was interesting was her arms were removed. She was a Mexican female.
Damn, that's interesting.
So they removed her arms because of her tattoos. So this was
the killer did.
This was a hit job. Correct. And they didn't want her identified, so they see this in a ditch and they call us. And then we got to figure out, well, where's the arms? So there's interesting cases like that where people just, they right time, right place, and they find bodies.
And so did you roll up on that scene with no arms?
Yes.
So when you get there, what's going on? Like, are people milling around? Is somebody, what's the scene like when you roll up on it?
Well, in that regard, there's no families present. It's different than most. It's a lot of sheriffs standing around looking at the dead body. Now, we have jurisdiction on that body, and legally they're not supposed to touch that body until we get there.
Okay.
So, of course, I would get there, look at the scene, to try to find out, does she have family around here? What's she doing in this area? She's not from here. They'll do an investigation. The law enforcement will do an investigation on their part. And then I'll start looking at the body for obvious signs of foul play. And in this regard, she had no arms. Yeah. So we knew something wasn't right. And it wasn't like an alligator or an animal came out and removed her arms. This was intentional.
Wow.
So in that case, we would get them to an autopsy facility.
Yeah. And do you look for the arms or you just kind of put a note like keep an eye out for arms or whatever? Or like, what do y'all do about the arms? You don't worry about it.
Well, the sheriff's office and law enforcement,
They worry about that.
They worry about that.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, of course, we all look around the scene to see if
Yeah.
we find anything, because there could be evidence on those arms. But many times they go, unfound.
Oh gosh, it'd be crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I had a guy find a foot once. It was from a fatality, but they called me, and this was, weeks later. Hey, we found a foot. Would you come pick it up? They don't want to touch it even. So I throw a bag in my car and I go grab a foot. It's a different lifestyle,
Yeah, right.
Yeah, if I get pulled over, carrying anything, yeah, man, I got a foot in my car.
Yeah, bro. I got a 10.5 in the trunk.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Dude, that's wild, man. Yeah, that's interesting. And do you put that foot in the trunk? You put it in the back seat? What do you do?
Yeah, well, in that case, I figured it would be pretty gnarly, so I actually brought a disposable ice chest and packed it in there, and then got it to the funeral home that they brought her body to. She may have been sent to cremation, but either way, the funeral home would take care of that body part.
Okay.
And I've traveled with worse. In Louisiana, it doesn't snow often. We had a case years ago where it was an infant death, and the autopsy place is about an hour and a half away from where we live.
Okay.
Or where we work in our parish. So they had a baby that had passed away, and they asked, hey, it was snowing really bad. Hey, can you meet us halfway with this child? And I'm in my personal car. I'm like, sure. So the baby, of course, is in a body bag.
Yeah.
So I'm driving down the highway with a baby in my
And how
car.
big's that body bag? I mean, it's like a gallon or something. How big?
Well, it's like a duffel bag for a baby.
Oh, yeah.
But, you get pulled over, and I have an unmarked car. I'm in street clothes or normally scrubs. And,
yeah.
what are you carrying?
At least you're not in a Miata or something.
Yeah.
That'd be the worst, bro. You get pulled over in a Miata and you got a baby in a duffel bag, bro.
Well, I kind of went over the speed limit just to kind of maybe man, if I could only get pulled over here, it would be an interesting case. But,
that'd be fascinating.
But no, it's sad for when we lose babies like that. But the fact of the matter is the baby needed to go to autopsy, and we'll do anything we can to assist in that regard. And if it meant driving through the snow 30, 45 minutes, we'll do that.
Yeah.
That's some of the things that we do to help.